So what I've spent the last 20 years doing is developing my concept of frocation. It actually originated, it started when I met my husband, who is African American and half Swedish. Yeah. So it was inspired by our relationship. And the character is supposed to transcend racial divide, and I chose the color gray because gray is an achromatic color. It doesn't have a hue. It's actually literally a color without a color. And I use these figures in all of my work, and I didn't even know they were up there. So they always tell whatever subject matter I'm interested in, which is mainly gender relations and also immigration and health care.
Wonderful. All right, what do you have quickly working on next?
Okay, I have a show opening Saturday here in DC at Artist Proof in Georgetown. I'm also going to Ghana in November to work with a Swedish fashion designer called High on Life. And we will be working at the Cockroach Institute to work with traditional craftsmen and learn printing techniques like mud printing, sun screening, and so on.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I appreciate it so much. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. And our last one is Jeffrey Andres Wright. He's a photographer. You may have seen some of his work. You have been photographing the significant civil rights leaders at the NAACP, as well as, and especially the 50th anniversary of Brown versus Board of...
Yeah, I've done that a while back. Also, recently I did the book cover of Dick Gregory and also Portrait of Amiri Baraka.
Yeah, so tell me sort of the approach that you're taking with your photography.
Basically, photographing the mainly more civil rights historic civil rights legends. So.
Excellent. Any new projects coming up?
Mainly, I'm working on that project and trying to get a hold of other civil rights activists.
All right. So if you have any connections, he's ready.
Yeah. I really am. So.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah.
All right. Please spend some time out in the lounge. They'll be out there as well over the course of the next break. And we'll continue to feature some artists that are also doing creative work to try to influence the general conversation when it comes to conversation around bias or any other issues. I want to bring out actually Maya Enista Smith. Maya is the executive director of the Born This Way Foundation. Come on out, Maya. Have a seat.
Thanks.
So Maya and I actually have gone way back. We used to work somewhat together. We've got like parallel universes in many different things. Yep. But you were at mobilize.org for a while, leading that effort, and then you went over to Born This Way Foundation. So fill everybody in if they have never heard of this person called Lady Gaga.
Yeah, so there used to be a Facebook group entitled Stephanie Germanotta Will Never Become Famous. Which is funny now, but 6.5 years ago, Lady Gaga founded Born This Way Foundation, based in part on that awful Facebook group and the meanness and cruelty that she experienced growing up. So often, when you're different when you're young, it's a liability instead of an asset. And so Born This Way exists to build a kinder and braver world. We focus in two main areas: kindness and mental wellness. And I'm so excited to be here with you.
So how do you know if you have a kinder world? How do you measure we're successful? How do you know that?
It's such a great question, and it's something we wrestle with every day. I gave a speech this weekend in Monterey focused on mental wellness, and I actually will never know if I'm successful in helping achieve greater mental wellness. The hard part is I will only know when I fail, right? When young people continue to commit suicide. And so it's that hopefulness and that optimism and that belief in this greater good that we continue to strive for that really defines our generation and our work, right? For each of us, we have a different definition of what a kinder and braver world will look like. And so I think we define kindness as an act in service to someone else without the expectation of anything in return. And someone said up here earlier, Jean actually said up here earlier, doing more things with other people in mind. I think if collectively we start doing that, we'll get much closer.
Yeah, so talk about mental health. Obviously, this has been a huge topic with a lot, given everything going on as we hear about unfortunate suicides or anything else. Where are you where's the foundations going with this issue? And what are you hoping happens with the public?
Yeah, I think we really want to destigmatize conversations around mental health. You didn't ask me if I had a call to action to the audience, so I'll answer the question I want to answer. So we're in a mental health crisis.
She's like, let me just take control and I'll tell you what's happening.
Millennials.
Yeah.
We're in a mental health crisis in this country. At every generation, but particularly young people. We were talking backstage. I'm 34. I grew up in a world without social media, right? Where my every mistake wasn't captured, where I wasn't on all of the time. Young people, for social media and other reasons, are facing really, really serious issues, and they aren't talking about it. And that's because it's not being modeled for them. Conversations around mental health are not being modeled for them. So if we have one goal, it's to destigmatize conversations around mental health and eliminate the stigma surrounding it. We all have physical health, just as we all have mental health, but mental health is something we only talk about in crisis situations. So if everybody here can say, I went to a conference and some chick was talking about mental health, and then just like allow the awkward silence, right? Because you never know the opening of when someone needs to hear that, when someone needs permission to talk about mental health, an invitation to talk about mental health, or just the information of knowing that you're a safe person to talk about that with.
We're here talking about influence as well. Obviously, Lady Gaga is fairly influential in all of this. How do you harness that, and how do you ensure that you're getting what you achieve?
Yeah, I have to say she is everything you would imagine she is and more. I don't have to harness anything. She offers it. It is who she is. She uses every single platform and opportunity and invitation given to her to share this message. And if she were here today, I'm like a professional consolation prize. I'm sorry she's not here today.
No, Maya got the invitation.
If she were here today, she'd tell you that this is a legacy that she wants to be remembered for more than anything else. She performed at the Super Bowl, and my husband was like, can I just, like, he only cares about my job once. He's watching right now. He only cared about my job for the Super Bowl. But even with that, right? We went to the Super Bowl. We went to Texas. We spread kindness. We donated more than 30,000 toys to local organizations. We spent time in schools. Everything, the halftime show was so much more than you even saw, and we get to be part of everything that she does.
Is a lot of the Born This Way Foundation community sort of in the online space? Because I know you have a challenge, which we'll talk about in a minute. So how are you capitalizing sort of the online and offline?
Yeah, so we live in a world where it's not online or offline, right? We're just, this is the way that we live. And so Me Too, who's here in the front row, is our digital manager, and she manages all of our online communities. And what we do online and offline is we invite people into a conversation and ensure that they understand that their voice is valued and an important part of our work. When I first started working for Lady Gaga, she said, I have this vision for this foundation. Would you be interested in helping me build it? And I was like, sure, what's it going to do? She was like, I don't know, I got to ask the young people. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you want to do? She's like, I need to ask the young people. And we invited 26 young people, including Shadil, who's in the front row, to help build and envision what this foundation would do. And so that's how we lead online and offline, is what's the change you want to see in the world? What are the unique assets that this generation brings? What is a kinder and braver world look like to you? And how can we leverage our relationships, our assets, our network, our platforms to help you build it? Because that's who's going to build it, right? My 5-year-old and 3-year-old.
All right, so talk about the challenge. What is the challenge?
Yeah, so Be Kind 21. So I was having so many feelings about my son Hunter starting kindergarten, and I just wanted him to be met with kindness and compassion in every interaction. And so we talked a lot about how do you make friends? How do you, how do you act on the playground? How do you listen to teachers? And I thought, this is great, and I'm doing important work in my community, but I have this platform. And I didn't want kindness to just be this transactional thing that Hunter experienced. So from Hunter, my conversation with Hunter, we built Be Kind 21, which is the first 21 days of school, or any 21 days. How do you build a culture of kindness in your workplace, in your community, in your school? We created a calendar for teachers, parents, and students of a kind thing that you can do every day, because science says that if you do something at least 21 days in a row, it becomes a habit. And in this country, yeah, right. I'm like working out. Like, if I could just do that. I think in this country, we just need to be much less transactional. right? About doing good and helping others and thinking about service, right? It's not something you do and put on your resume. It's not something you do and leave, right? And if we could create habits around kindness, and that's what Be Kind 21 is. And if I could take 56 seconds, I just want to tell you.
That's the exact time we have left.
So weird. So I just want to tell you a really quick story.
Sure.
I'm from New Jersey, so I'll speak real. Thank you. So my only point in saying
Got some fans here.
my only point in saying that is I can speak very quickly. Okay, so kindness.
Now we're down to 30.
Okay, so kindness is not this like mushy, nice to have feeling. It's this evidence-backed science. I live right outside of San Francisco now. And if you were suicidal in San Francisco, you would go to the Golden Gate Bridge, right? And you would jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. And far too many people do every year. And I had the honor of hearing a conversation from a man who survived a jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. And I just want to tell you what he told me. Can I tell it? Okay.
Please.
It's going to take a little longer than 7 seconds, but I'll be really quick. So he walked me through that morning, and I want to just walk you through that morning so that you can understand the power of kindness. So this man had been struggling with a whole host of things. He had decided that he didn't want to live anymore. Once someone makes a plan to commit suicide, it's really hard to walk that back. That's one of the things we know from research. So he decided that morning to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. He needed to take 3 buses from his home to the Golden Gate Bridge. He got on the first bus in the Mission District, and it was like a rare sunny morning in San Francisco. And he had this nagging feeling as he's riding this bus that he doesn't want to live anymore, but he's not sure that he wants to die. So he makes a bet with himself. And he says, if anyone on this bus asks me how I am, I won't jump off the bridge. And he's just casually standing on the bus wondering if like his guardian angel is going to come rescue him that morning. Nobody asks him how he is on that bus. On the second bus, he gets on this bus that goes up Van Ness across the hills of San Francisco, and he says to himself, he still has this nagging feeling that he's not sure that he's making the right decision. He says, if anyone on this bus smiles at me, a smile that's just like truly meant for me. If anyone on this bus smiles at me, I won't jump off this bridge. And it's a crowded commuter bus. People are not really paying attention to him. They're zoned out. Nobody on this bus, crowded commuter bus, smiles at him. He gets on the last bus in the Marina, which is a short bus to the span of the Golden Gate Bridge. And at this point, the man's crying. He's in crisis. He needs someone to help him find the strength to not go over that bridge because he knows it's his only option and that it's not within his ability to stop himself. And on that bus, he's crying and he says to himself, if anyone looks at me in a way that I know is for me, truly for me, then I won't jump off this bridge. And at this point, people are moving away from him, right? They're turning away, they're putting the earbuds on, they're scrolling through their phones, and nobody on that bus looks at him. He walks mid-span to the Golden Gate Bridge, and a woman in these giant sunglasses taps him on the shoulders, and he's sobbing. He's like, my guardian angel. This woman asks him to take a picture of her. Right? And so this woman in these big sunglasses hands a man who's clearly in crisis her cell phone. She gets up against the bridge, poses. He takes her picture, hands her phone back, and jumps off the bridge in front of her. And so I spoiled the ending in that he's alive and he made it and talked about that morning. But what I carry with me and what I hope that each of you carry with you from that conversation is that we've all been those people who are just way too busy to pay attention to the world around us for legitimate reasons. We're running to meetings, have to speak on a panel, really important things. But we've all been those people desperately in need of acknowledgement and humanity and someone to reach out and touch us, right? And so like now, God help you if you see me on public transportation, I'm like, hello. Right? Like I like get on people's lap.
Yeah. That was a little intense. I didn't know it was going to happen.
But
my wife is watching now.
My husband is watching.
Yeah, hey Dave.
But so and I'll end much over time. Thank you for obliging me with like kindness isn't this nice to have mushy feeling. It's not this thing that Hunter's only going to learn in kindergarten. It's something that can and will save lives, and it's the way that we should live our lives. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
I'll give you a hug. Thank you. You never know what's going to happen.